अब हामी सुरु गरौँ नर्मल एग्रिगेट कङ्क्रिट टेक्नोलोजीको अर्को constituent of concrete is normal aggregate. Since approximately three quarters of volume of concrete is occupied by concrete, three quarter of volume is occupied by concrete. Three quarter of volume is occupied by aggregate. So this is also important to know the properties of aggregate. Originally, aggregate is was viewed as inert, inexpensive material dispersed throughout the cement paste so as to produce a large volume of concrete. In fact, aggregate is not truly inert. Aggregate चाहिँ truly inert हुँदैन because its physical, thermal, and chemical properties influence the performance of concrete. This is not truly inert because its property also affect the properties of concrete. Concrete को properties aggregate को properties मा depends हुन्छ. So this is not truly inert for concrete. From economic viewpoint, it is advantageous to use a mix with as much aggregate and as little cement as possible. Economic viewpoint मा चाहिँ more the aggregate and less the cement is more economic. But for the strength criteria, the certain feasible ratios of cement sand aggregate and water cement ratio should be maintained for the different grade of concrete. M20 grade of concrete, M25 grade of concrete. For M20 grade of concrete, the ratio is 1 is to 1.5 is to 3. Uh, then and for M25, 1 is to 1 is to 2. The ratio of cement and aggregate is depends on the grade of concrete required. Aggregates are formed by process of weathering and abrasion. Weathering and abrasion or by artificial crushing a larger parent mass. Thus many properties of aggregate depend on the properties of parent rock. The properties of aggregate depends on the properties of parent rock. The chemical and mineral composition, petrographic classification, specific gravity, hardness, strength, physical and chemical stability, pore structure, color, etc. Size classification of aggregate. Concrete is made with aggregate particles covering a range of sizes up to a maximum size which usually lies between 10 mm and 50 mm. 20 mm is a typical size. 10 mm to 50 mm size aggregate is used normally for the concrete. The particle size distribution is called grading. The particle size distribution is grading of aggregate. Low grade concrete may be made with aggregate from deposits containing whole range of size. Low grade concrete is made with aggregate from deposits containing whole range of size from the largest to smallest. That is whole range of aggregate containing concrete चाहिँ के हुँदो रहेछ लो ग्रेड कङ्क्रिटमा क्याटेगोराइज हुँदो रहेछ. अल इन अर पिट्रोन एग्रिगेट. अल इन एग्रिगेट अर पिट्रोन एग्रिगेट भनेको म्याक्सिमम साइज मिनिमम पोसिबल साइज सबै साइजहरू भएको एग्रिगेट. सर्टेन साइजको भन्दा पनि एज अ होल सबै साइज भएको एग्रिगेट भनेको पिट्रोन एग्रिगेट अर अल इन एग्रिगेट. यस्तो किसिमको एग्रिगेट युज गरेको कङ्क्रिट इज लो ग्रेड कङ्क्रिट. द पार्टिकल साइज डिस्ट्रिब्युसन इज कल्ड ग्रेडिङ. पार्टिकल साइज डिस्ट्रिब्युसन कर्व, gradation of the aggregate. So according to grading of aggregate, we use the required size of the aggregate for our concrete. But if all in or Pitron aggregate is used, then the concrete form is low grade concrete. It should be noted that the term aggregate is sometimes used to mean coarse aggregate in contradictions. Yes, this aggregate is sometimes used to mean coarse aggregate in contradiction to sand. That is, this uh, coarse aggregate, uh, a practice which is not correct. के हुँदो रहेछ भन्दाखेरि sometime the aggregate term is used to mean coarse aggregate in contradiction to sand, a practice which is not correct. Sand is generally considered to have lower size limit of about 0.07 mm or a little less. Sand को साइज चाहिँ 0.7 mm or less को साइजको चाहिँ sand भनिन्छ. The coarse aggregate भनेको के हो? Sand भन्दा बढी साइज भएको. Sand भनेको fine aggregate. The petrographic classifications of this aggregate यहाँ दिएको छ. The In the US, ASTM standard C29505 gives description of the more common imported minerals found in aggregate. Petrographically, from the petrographic standpoint, aggregates are divided into several groups of rock having common characteristics. The group classification does not imply suitability of an aggregate for concrete making. Usually, material can be found in any group. Petrographically different ग्रुपमा डिभाइड गर्न सकिन्छ एग्रिगेटलाई. त्यो टेबल 3.1 मा दिएको छ. यहाँ 3.1 यहाँ छ. ओके, basalt group, basalt, granite, flint group, greenstone group, gabbro group, hornfels, quartzite, porphyry, limestone. These different petrographic schist. These are the petrographical classification of our aggregate. But the important minerals found in aggregates are silica mineral, silica, SiO2, feldspar, micaceous mineral, carbonate, carbonate, sulfate, iron sulfide, carbonate, feldspar, silica, iron, zeolites, iron oxide, clay minerals. These all are the minerals found in the aggregate. And the groups according to the petrography are basalt group, granite group. Granite मा nice ग्रेनाइटहरू पर्यो. लाइमस्टोनमा डोलोमाइट लाइमस्टोन पर्यो. लाइमस्टोन डोलोमाइट, म्याग्नेसियम अक्साइड, क्याल्सियम अक्साइड. अनि बेसाल्टमा एन्डिसाइड बेसाल्टहरू नै पर्यो. बेसाल्ट ग्रुपमा बेसाल्ट पर्यो. फ्लिन्टमा फ्लिन्ट ग्रुपमा फ्लिन्ट पर्यो. ग्रिनस्टोनमा ग्रे वेक स्यान्डस्टोनहरू पर्यो. अनि एप्साइड, डेसाइड, फेल्डसाइड क्लासिफिकेसनहरू नर्मली त्यस्तो आउँदैन खासै परेन. डिफ्रेन्ट ग्रुपमा क्लासिफाई गर्न सकिन्छ पेट्रोग्राफिकली. सेप एन्ड टेक्सचरको आधारमा पनि क्लासिफिकेसन गर्न सकिन्छ. 0.07 mm भन्दा कमको साइज अथवा त्यो साइजकोलाई चाहिँ स्यान्ड भनिन्छ र त्योभन्दा मोर भनेको एग्रिगेट, कोर्स एग्रिगेट. एग्रिगेट भनेको कोर्स एग्रिगेट. अनि सेप एन्ड टेक्सचर क्लासिफिकेसन अनुसार चाहिँ राउन्डेड, irregular, flaky, angular, elongated, flaky and elongated. यसरी डिफ्रेन्ट ग्रुपमा डिफ्रेन्ट एक्जाम्पल्सहरू छ, क्लासिफिकेसन छ सिम्पली. Although there is no STM standard, a classification sometimes used in the US is as follows: well-rounded, rounded, sub-angular, angular. Okay, here rounded, irregular, flaky, angular, elongated, flaky and elongated, well-rounded, rounded, sub-rounded, sub-angular, angular, angular, sub-angular, rounded, sub-rounded, and well-rounded. This is also a classification used in US, but ASTM classification as this. The major classifications: rounded, irregular, flaky, angular, elongated, and flaky. Rounded, irregular, flaky, angular, elongated, and flaky and elongated means there are two, four, six, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 group classified as six groups. That is according to the size. Now, next is surface texture classification of aggregates with example. Surface texture: glassy surface, smooth surface, granular surface, rough surface, crystalline surface, honeycomb surface. These are the surface classification of the aggregates. Mechanical properties: physical, chemical, mechanical. Mechanical properties. Mm, we are discovered. This is mm, no. Now mechanical properties are mechanically भनेको स्ट्रेन्थहरू, बोन्डिङ क्यापासिटी, स्ट्रेन्थ, बोन्ड अनि अरू भनेको के छ, अरू भनेको टफनेस, हार्डनेस, मेकानिकल स्ट्रेन्थसँग रिलेटेड हार्डनेस, टफनेस, मेकानिकल स्ट्रेन्थ, दिस आर द मेकानिकल properties of the aggregate. Aggregate मेकानिकल properties स्ट्रेन्थ, ड्युरेबिलिटी, हार्डनेस, टफनेसहरू पर्यो र बोन्ड क्यापासिटी, बोन्डिङ मेकानिकल स्ट्रेन्थभित्र पर्छ। बोन्ड भनेको सेप एन्ड द सर्फेस टेक्सचर अफ एग्रिगेट इन्फ्लुएन्स द strength of concrete. So for high strength concrete, flexural strength is more affected than compressive strength. Shape र surface texture ले चाहिँ स्ट्रेन्थ अफ कङ्क्रिटलाई एफेक्ट गर्छ। स्ट्रेन्थ अफ कङ्क्रिट चाहिँ सेप एन्ड सर्फेस टेक्सचरमा डिपेन्ड्स हुन्छ। स्ट्रेन्थ अफ strength of concrete depends on the shape and surface texture of aggregate, and flexural strength is more affected for, so especially for high strength concrete. High strength concrete flexural strength is more affected than compressive strength by the shape and surface texture of the this aggregate. A rougher texture results in greater adhesion bonding between the particles and the cement matrix, so that is strength of concrete increases. Rougher surface texture, rough surface texture, irregular shape ले चाहिँ and the large surface area of more angular aggregate, greater bonding. Large surface area of more angular aggregate generally texture characteristics which permit no penetration of the surface of the particles by the paste are not conductive to good bond and hence after porous and mineralogically heterogeneous particles result in a better bonding. Mainly strength of concrete say depends on the bonding. This is the uh, mechanical properties, bonding strength and uh, this toughness. So this bonding or strength of concrete को strength चाहिँ shape and texture of aggregate मा depend हुन्छ, किनकि higher the surface area, that is rougher texture of aggregate, and the irregular or angular aggregate, that is more contact area चाहिँ बेस्ट फर द कङ्क्रिट फर द स्ट्रेन्थ। कङ्क्रिटको स्ट्रेन्थ चाहिँ एङ्गुलर टाइपको, इरेगुलर टाइपको एग्रिगेट युज गर्यो र सर्फेस टेक्सचर चाहिँ रफ सर्फेस टेक्सचर भयो भने बन्डिङ बेटर हुन्छ, कन्ट्याक्ट एरिया बेटर हुन्छ। कन्ट्याक्ट एरिया र त्यसको बन्डिङ राम्रो भइसकेपछि के हुन्छ, कङ्क्रिटको एज अ होल स्ट्रेन्थ नै के हुन्छ, इन्हेन्स हुन्छ, बढी हुन्छ। सो generally, texture characteristics which permit no penetration of the surface of the particles by the paste are not conductive to good bond. Generally, texture characteristics, textural characteristics permit no penetration of the surface of particles by the paste are not conductive to good bonding. टेक्सचर क्लास यस्तो टेक्सचर जसले चाहिँ पेनिट्रेसन अफ द पेस्ट अफ द सिमेन्ट पेस्ट पेनिट्रेसन राम्रो नहुने टेक्सचर छ भने पनि त्यस्तो सिमेन्ट पेस्ट पेनिट्रेसन राम्रो भएन, बन्डिङ राम्रो हुँदैन, त्यसले दिस आर नट गुड फर बन्डिङ। त्यस्तो टाइपको चाहिँ टेक्सचर भएको एग्रिगेट चाहिँ राम्रो हुँदैन भनेको छ, यति छ। अब स्ट्रेन्थ भनेको क्लियरली द कम्प्रेसिभ स्ट्रेन्थ अफ कङ्क्रिट क्यान नट significantly exceed that of the major part of the aggregate contained therein. Compressive strength of concrete also depends on the aggregate mainly. Okay, the compressive strength, these are the property that are this strength, and we have discussed this bonding and toughness, hardness are the mechanical properties of the concrete. So compressive strength of concrete cannot significantly exceed that the major parts of the aggregate को strength, compressive strength चाहिँ भन्दा बढी नर्मल्ली त्योभन्दा बढी चाहिँ एक्सिड गर्न सक्दैन. सो the strength of the concrete also depends on the crushing strength of the aggregate itself. Determine the therein, although it is not easy to determine the crushing strength of aggregate itself. A few weak particles can certainly be tolerated. After all, air voids can be viewed as aggregate particles for zero strength. Air voids presence भयो अनि एग्रिगेटमा एयर भोइडहरू प्रेजेन्ट छ, भोइड्सहरू प्रेजेन्ट छ भने त्यस्तो छ भने जिरो स्ट्रेन्थ प्रोभाइड गर्छ त्यो भोइड्सहरूले. सो दिस क्यान बी भिउड एज अ aggregate particles of zero strength. The required information about the aggregate particles has to be obtained from indirect test, crushing strength of prepared rock sample, crushing value of bulk aggregate, and performance of aggregate in concrete. यो हाम्रो एग्रिगेटको चाहिँ strength directly determine गर्न गाह्रो छ भनेको छ. इट इज नट इजी टु डिटर्माइन द क्रसिङ स्ट्रेन्थ अफ एग्रिगेट सेल्फ. इट इज नट इजी छैन. सो वी युज सम इन्डाइरेक्ट टेस्ट टु डिटर्माइन द क्रसिङ स्ट्रेन्थ अफ द that aggregate. So crushing strength of prepared rock sample, crushing strength of the bulk, crushing value of bulk aggregate prepared the rock sample or parental rock, and the performance of aggregate in concrete are some indirect test. यिनीहरू इन्डाइरेक्ट टेस्ट युज गरेर हामी त्यो एग्रिगेटको स्ट्रेन्थ, कम्प्रेसिभ स्ट्रेन्थ डिटर्माइन गर्न सक्छौँ. यसरी टेस्टहरू हुन्छ. तर कङ्क्रिट क्युब टेस्टले चाहिँ कङ्क्रिट क्युब टेस्ट भनेको कङ्क्रिटको 1 मिटर क्युबको क्युब फर्मेसन गर्ने, कङ्क्रिट क्युब फर्मेसन गर्ने अनि युनिभर्सल कम्प्रेसन टेस्टिङ मेसिनमा compressive load एप्लाई गरेर the compressive strength at the just the concrete block cracks is recorded in MPa megapascal. So that is the value of the strength of the concrete, compressive strength of the concrete. यसरी compressive strength टेस्टबाट हामी डाइरेक्टली हामी चाहिँ कङ्क्रिटको कम्प्रेसिभ स्ट्रेन्थ डिटर्माइन गर्छौँ. तर त्यो चाहिँ डिपेन्ड्स अपन द कम्प्रेसिभ स्ट्रेन्थ अफ एग्रिगेट, द्याट इज द एग्रिगेटको स्ट्रेन्थमा डिपेन्डेन्स हुन्छ. यो चाहिँ स्ट्रेन्थ भयो. अब बोन्डिङ स्ट्रेन्थ, टफनेस यहाँ दिएको छ. दिस पर्सेन्टेज पासिङ 2.36 mm सिभ अफ बिट्विन दिस. यहाँ एउटा एक्सप्लेनेसन रहेछ. र पर्सेन्टेज अफ फाइन्स ड्यु टु अ म्याक्सिमम लोड अफ एक्स किलो न्युटन अर 0.1 टन एक्स किलो न्युटन लोड, देन the load required to give 10% fineness is given by 14x by y plus 4 x kilonewton. Percentage of fineness due to maximum load of x kilonewton. Then the load required to give 10% fineness is given by 14x by this. यहाँ दिएको छ x को x, y is the actual percentage of fine due to maximum x kilonewton load. This is y, and x is where is x? X value. Not given. I don't know. I don't care. यस्तो खालको क्वेसनहरू आउँदैन नर्मल्ली. यहाँनिर पढ्दा थाहा हुन्छ. अब यहाँनिर एक्स कहाँनिर दिएको छ. y चाहिँ के भनेको छ, y इज द एक्चुअल पर्सेन्टेज अफ फाइन ड्यु टु म्याक्सिमम् एक्सक्युलेटन लोड भनेको छ र त्यस्तो हो भने चाहिँ लोड रिक्वायर्ड टु गिभ 10% फाइन 10% फाइनको लागि चाहिने लोड भनेको 14 टाइम्स एक्स बाई वाइ प्लस 4 भनेको छ वाइ इज एक्चुअल पर्सेन्टेज फाइन एन्ड एक्स इज लोडिङ एक्स किलोमिटर लोड है percentage this is y is the actual percentage of fine y is actual percentage fine x is the maximum loading of x kilonewton this is 0.1 ton normally यो टेस्टमा भनेको छ भने then the load required to give 10 percentage fine is given by 14x by y plus 4 x is maximum load x kilonewton load y is actual percentage fine then the load for 10% fine is equal to 14x by y plus 4 normal छ यस्तै हो toughness another mechanical characteristics is toughness you can read on the side toughness can be defined as the resistance of aggregate to failure by impact यति चाहिँ भनौँ impact failure resistance भनेको toughness रहेछ it is usual to determine the aggregate impact value AIV value of ball aggregate this toughness is the resistance to the failure by impact. Impact failure resistance is toughness. So aggregate impact value is determined toughness for hardness. Hardness is resistance to wear is wearing tearing and this is also as an important property of concrete used in road and flooring surfaces heavy traffic subjected to heavy traffic. Hardness is mainly important for the aggregate used for road construction, floor, etc., where heavy traffic is subjected. भने छ टफनेस भनेको रेसिस्टेन्ट टु इम्प्याक्ट लोडिङको रेसिस्टेन्ट फेलर बाई इम्प्याक्ट भनेको टफनेस हो हार्डनेस भनेको चाहिँ रेसिस्टेन्ट टु वेयर क्र्याक रेसिस्टेन्ट भनेको हार्डनेस भयो अनि अघि भनेको थियो सुरुमा बन्डिङ बिट्विन द एग्रिगेट एन्ड सिमेन्ट पेस्ट बन्डिङ भयो द्याट बन्डिङ अल्सो इन्हान्सेस इफेक्ट्स द मेकानिकल properties bonding strength that is compressive strength of aggregate compressive strength of the concrete toughness of the aggregate hardness and another one is the physical properties now the physical properties of the concrete are specific gravity these physical properties of aggregate and their will be now considered. Now, several common physical property of aggregate of kind familiar from the study of elementary physics, behavior of aggregate in concrete and the properties of concrete. Concrete को properties चाहिँ डाइरेक्टली अनि इन्डाइरेक्टली मेनली चाहिँ एग्रिगेटमा डिपेन्ड्स हुन्छ त्यही भएर हामी नर्मल एग्रिगेट पढ्दैछौँ एग्रिगेट मेनली सो एग्रिगेटको यहाँ भनेको छ physical properties of aggregate and their measurement will be considered as specific gravity of aggregate since aggregate generally contains pore both permeable impermeable the meaning of the term specific gravity relative density has to be carefully defined and there are indeed several types of this measure specific gravity there are several types yes there are indeed several types of this measurement so the meaning of term specific gravity or relative density should be carefully defined भनेको छ हो this should be defined carefully the absolute specific gravity and particle density refer to the volume of the solid material excluding all pore यहाँ अस्ति हामीले केमा थियो सोइल मेकानिक्समा मास स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटीमा चाहिँ इन्क्लुडिङ एयर भोइड्स एन्ड वाटर थियो अफ सोइलको केसमा चाहिँ मास स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी हो भने अर्को भनेको स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी जिएस भन्ने थियो, एक्सक्लुडिङ एयर भोइड्स एन्ड पोर। हामी जेनरली एक्सक्लुडिङ एयर भोइड्स एन्ड पोर द्याट इज स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी जिएस युज गर्थ्यौँ। र अर्को एब्सोल्युट स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी थियो। यहाँ छ एब्सोल्युट स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी एन्ड particle density refer to the volume of solid material excluding all pore, while the apparent specific gravity and apparent particle density refer to the volume of solid material including the impermeable pores but not the capillary one भने छ। Absolute specific gravity and absolute particle density. Absolute, yes, absoluteमा चाहिँ के छ, excluding all pore and excluding the भोल्युम अफ अल पोर्स गऱ्यो भने चाहिँ एब्सोल्युट भयो। पोरहरूको भोल्युम एक्सक्लुड गर्यो, ओके, त्यो भनेको एब्सोल्युट भयो। वाइल त्यो भनेको चाहिँ मास स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी र एब्सोल्युट स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी छ। मास स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटीमा चाहिँ इन्क्लुड गर्यो, त्यो भने चाहिँ एपारेन्ट स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी पनि भयो। यो मास स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी भनेको एपारेन्ट स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी जसमा चाहिँ पार्टिकल्स एपारेन्ट डेन्सिटी पनि भयो, डेन्सिटी रेसियो रिलेटिभ डेन्सिटी रेसियो हो, त्यो पनि भयो। मास स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी अर एपारेन्ट स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटीमा चाहिँ के भयो, इम्पर्मिएबल पोर्स र क्यापिलरी वान भएको इम्पर्मिएबल पोर्स भोइड्सहरू पनि के भयो, लियो, कन्टेन गर्यो। मतलब द्याट अल्सो इन्क्लुडेड इम्पर्मिएबल पोर्स बट नट क्यापिलरी वान भनेको apparent specific gravity or mass specific gravity only focus on mass, but this absolute specific gravity or absolute relative density, absolute density, particle density भनेको चाहिँ excluding all pores, all type of pores that may be impermeable pores or capillary pores, सबै पोरहरू एक्सक्लुड गर्यो भने त्यो चाहिँ एब्सोल्युट specific gravity both. So specific gravity are two types: mass specific gravity, that is apparent specific gravity, and another one is absolute specific gravity, that is also known as the particle density. Absolute particle density and apparent particle density. Absolute and apparent, that is mass specific gravity is apparent, also called apparent, and absolute, that two type. We gm is represented as mass specific gravity, apparent specific, gs is represented as absolute specific gravity। यसरी स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटीहरू हामीले अस्ति गरेका छौँ र यहाँ केही एक्सप्लानेसनको साथमा फर्मुलाहरू पनि दिएको छ फर द एपरेन्ट स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी एन्ड द्याट इज एब्सोल्युट इफ एन्ड अनदर वान इज एब्सोल्युट एन्ड दिस इज एपरेन्ट, द्याट इज देयर आर मेजरली टू टाइप्स, एपरेन्ट एन्ड एब्सोल्युट। एन्ड एपरेन्ट particle density is also given, density, gravity, divide, this is ratios of densities, relative density, so multiplied by 1000 is normally apparent density, apparent gravity। apparent specific gravity लाई 1000 ले मल्टिप्लाई गर्यो भने apparent density आइसक्यो इन केजी पर मिटर क्युब भनेको छ। this is the specific gravity। Specific gravity is also the characteristics, or this is the physical properties of the aggregate specific gravity। Bonding, strength, hardness, toughness, mechanical properties, specific gravity, bulk density, porosity and absorption, and moisture content. Another one is bulk density already भयो। These are the physical properties। physical properties मा चाहिँ स्पेसिफिक ग्राभिटी भयो, बल्क डेन्सिटी भयो, पोरोसिटी एब्जर्प्सन भयो, अनि अघि भने जस्तै बल्क डेन्सिटी, पोरोसिटी एब्जर्प्सन, मोइस्चर कन्टेन्ट, यिनीहरू चाहिँ फिजिकल प्रपर्टिज अफ द एग्रिगेट भयो। Normally, bulk density is well known that in the metric system